First of all, welcome to your ArchDaily interview and congratulations on receiving the UIA 2030 award in the SDG 11.3 category, focusing on participatory, land use efficient and inclusive planning. To begin with, could you introduce yourself and tell us more about the team behind the project and also the broader mission of Kounkuey Design Initiative?
My name is Vera Bukachi, and I work at the Kounkuey Design Initiative, who are the leads on this work. We were working in collaboration with Slum Dwellers International Kenya and Akiba Mashinani Trust, and we're very happy to have won the award for the Urban Fabric Initiative Kahawa Soweto project.
Could you tell us about the initial conditions of the site and why was it important to rethink the health center as a broader civic and social infrastructure?
So on this site, the general community area we were working in is called Kahawa Soweto, and we worked on a number of sites. One of them was a health center, and in that health center it was really important to think a little bit more about the multi-use of that space, not just as a health center, but also as a potential space to have a mixed-use hall, for example, have areas to play, and have healing spaces, especially for those who are convalescing after being unwell. We also have another part of that project, which is around the corner within the same neighborhood, in an area called Kaeni Soba. So not very far from the health center. And there, the focus had been looking at the community themselves, the community group, raised issues with regards to their needs being around things like laundry, a cyber center, and the sanitation. And so they're able to put in all those different things. Thank you.
So the project was developed through collaboration between designers, community organizations, local government,
Yes.
and international partners. So how was the process and how did these interdisciplinary and cross-institutional relationship influence the final outcome?
Okay. That's a good question, which I hope I can somehow frame on behalf of my colleagues. Just as a background, Kounkuey Design Initiative, we're a design and community organization that's been working for 20 years in the aspect of public space, design in an inclusive way. So when we came to working on the Urban Fabric Initiative funded by AFD, it was very straightforward for us to think already about what that kind of coalition might look like, bringing together different groups, even different kind of organizing groups. I mentioned already SDI, Kenya, AMT, and ourselves. And then we also work in community groups in Kahawa Soweto. And in this case, which was very exciting for us, the Nairobi City County, who are able to provide sites to be able to do some of this work, because it was really important for us to have that agreement. And then, of course, the wider community and who the community-based organizations were able to connect with. There's a number of layers which, in terms of both design and in terms of the wider project. And I say design, there's a technical design, but there's also what you might call the social design.
Yeah.
So the technical design was in itself quite interesting, infusing nature-based solutions and natural materials onto the site and really thinking about what that might mean. And working with communities, as I said, to make sure that what went on the site was something that they needed. And they were also involved in the construction and a lot of the design workshops in anticipation. But also from a management perspective, this was the first time that he was starting to think about how can these sites be managed once KDI has stepped away and the other organizations working on it have stepped away, in a way that is done both by the community-based organizations with whom we've already been working with, they have a deep understanding, and the Nairobi City County. So what we were able to machinate, if I can say that word, is what we call a service level agreement, or a type of MOU of who does what between the city, because this is their space, it's important for them to be able to play a big role in maintaining it, but also for the community groups who are working to manage these spaces, and to some extent, because there's some services in there, also making a bit of income from it as part of the maintenance. So that was a quite delicate process, but an important process. And we think it's something that is potentially scalable through the other Urban Fabric Initiative work in Kenya and other parts of Africa.
That's great. So looking from the broader angle, but I would like to focus a little bit about the architecture part of the
Yes.
project and ask you that how do you see the role of architects evolving when working with the informal and underserved urban contexts?
All right, my architect friends will love me answering this question as an engineer. They don't always like us. But I think the role of the architects, especially when it comes to working with communities, is really important, because as I said, design is not just technical. A big part of that is social. What we design, what we put together is based on what people really need And what we found with our architects, who you might call community architects, or certainly those who have a demand-driven approach to their work, is being able to think very much about what that might look like in consultation with others. So you don't sit in a room alone and do a drawing somewhere without engaging with people, but you don't put the pen to paper probably until the third or fourth conversation where you've had with community groups, you've had with residents, you've had with other stakeholders, so that whatever comes through is something that is really what is needed. And sometimes it's tricky because, of course, I think architecture also has a personality. A lot of architects have a strong style, and trying to essentially push yourself or pull yourself back and let the needs of that your client, in this case the community, be at the forefront of what you do.
Yeah. So my final question is, why do you think projects like this are important within the broader framework of the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the future of inclusive urban developments?
So within the broader framework of the SDGs, this specific project is one of a number of several, no? And as I mentioned, thinking about urban fabric, thinking about working with and through communities, thinking about being able to provide basic services such as sanitation and water, other type of basic services is really important and at the core of what we're doing with the SDGs. I think it's really key because as in terms of what we've been trying to do with the UFI, Urban Fabric Initiative work, is thinking about how to scale that in a way that others can also use and learn from it. We ourselves have also learned and are building more and more. How can we build public spaces and public realm in a way that is inclusive, in a way that the public spaces that are used are being managed with and by those communities, and perhaps finally just thinking about what that might look like in different places. So for me, this UFI work has scale across 10 counties in Kenya. It's scaling across different parts of the continent, and I think has a lot to add in terms of being able to start to program what that might look like elsewhere.
Well, thank you so much. That was my all questions.
All right,
and congratulations again. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.